everyone, it's me Canadensis, and today's video is going to be a voiceover, and I'm going to be showing you guys how I make my custom doll wings. Now, if you guys don't have a vinyl cutting machine, this is probably not going to work for you, but I figured that I would share because A, a lot of you guys were asking, and B, because I'm just really excited and proud that I figured this out. So the first step is, of course, to draw the wings. Do not trace the wings you find on DeviantArt that other artists have put a lot of time into vectorizing and coloring. You can trace like the official drawings, or you can trace the doll wings, which is mostly what I did here. I changed a lot of design elements on a lot of the wings that I do because to cut them out, they need to be a certain way, but please see how that's a perfect replica of the original Winx wings. That's what I was going for. But just please don't steal actual, or not actual artists, but smaller artists' work. It's really wrong to do that. It does not take that long to make your own vector. These take me like 30 minutes to make probably, and also they're much more optimized for my Cricut machine. So I actually did this one wrong. You need to fill in those stars with color, or when you get to the design space, you need to do something special to make sure it cuts out properly. So you're gonna see my error here, and I didn't show it in the video, but you can see what was going on. So in this part, as you can see, the pink wing is going to be cutting out the stars like that, and I wanted them to be filled in stars. So what you have to do is you have to go in and contour the picture or change your file. I ended up contouring it afterward, but I wasted a lot of vinyl cutting out the original ones that you're seeing on the design space right now. So just letting you know, you're definitely gonna wanna measure the wings, because if you don't, you're either gonna make them way too small or way too big. The first wings that I printed were, I think, 9 inches tall, because I just was like, that looks right, but it really wasn't. If you don't have the wings on hand, they're pretty much 5 by 5 is gonna be the biggest you want them. And obviously you don't want them square. I'm just saying, like, those are the bounds of the Jakks Pacific wings. And what I'm doing here is to maximize the efficiency of the vinyl that I'm using, because this material is quite expensive. I'm just trying to make the wings take up as little space as possible. Please be careful, because sometimes you make them cut into each other when you do that. I've done it several times and not only wasted all the vinyl, but trashed a lot of work on the wings, and it's really frustrating. So yeah, I'm just doing that with the pink. And as you can see, this is from my first attempt where I cut them out horrifically wrong and had to waste those wings. But I'm selling them as stickers instead now, so that's something. This part drones on a little long, but it is an important step to just make sure that you're not wasting a lot of vinyl, because the way that Cricut sets it up for you by default for some reason is like the most wasteful possible. Because you obviously have to throw away all the negative space. So if you leave a giant gap in between. Right now it's trying to detect my machine and I have to turn it on. I didn't turn it on. And yeah, I'm just setting it up. If you guys have a Cricut or get one, it's pretty self-explanatory. This is me putting the gold vinyl on the machine. There's another clip of me messing this up. Make sure you have the gold setting picked on design space, because it will cut it out on the pink one. It does not know what color you're doing, and it also does not regard the order that you have it in. So as you can see from the last clip, I had edited the arrangement of the pink ones, so it actually started cutting out the pink ones, but I caught it in time so it didn't waste the vinyl, but that's definitely something to look out for. I've done it several times, and it's very frustrating and obnoxious. But yeah, it's just cutting away, getting it done. As you can see, this vinyl came as a sheet, so you don't really have to worry about it as much, but my mat was not very sticky anymore because I'd used it a lot and I was new at it, so I let it touch the floor and stuff. It got really wasted a lot of the stick, but there it goes. It cut that out really quickly. But for this one, you're going to see that this one came from a roll, so it's going to be bubbling up. I hold it at the edges. You can also use tape, but I'm not doing super crazy cuts that take hours or anything, so I held the edges to make sure that they didn't come off, because you're going to see it bubbling up. But yeah, it's just, there's lots of things you have to look out for so you don't waste the material, especially the Cricut brand, which is what I was using in this video. I think they're like $11 a roll at most stores, and they don't count in like 40% off sales at Joann's. And Hobby Lobby, you have to wait till they actually put them on sale, so they're really expensive. I'm hoping to find an alternative source for my vinyl. But yeah, there it goes. This is a really complicated cut, so I have the video cut off in a minute because it did take a little bit. But This is actually a video of the one I messed up, though. That's why it took so long. So it has the stars with outlines instead of filled in like they're supposed to be, as you can see there. And next up is the most time-consuming part, is the weeding. So this is what they call pulling the excess vinyl off your project. So this is really important because if you try to transfer it with the negative space, it'll transfer with the negative space and you won't be able to get it off. So with wings like Stella Believix and Roxy Believix, they have all these tiny little swirls. And I could make them thicker in my design, but I really like them thin like that. It makes them look more delicate and accurate to the actual show and design. So... also, glitter vinyl is really hard to see until you put light under it, and I have not invested in a light box or anything like that yet, so I just turn on my phone flashlight and put it right over that, and use this tiny little scalpel to weed, because I didn't have the weeding tools yet, but I actually prefer the scalpel to the weeding tools that I bought, so that's something to keep in mind. But if you're not careful and you just rip really fast, you're gonna rip off the little swirls. I've done it so many times on Roxy wings. I have like at least 5 pairs of Roxy wings that I had to just throw away completely because they lost the swirls. And that really stinks because they're a little expensive. And as you can see, this is the one where I corrected the design so the stars aren't outlines. And you can tell by when the flashlight's going through it that they're not like that. But the outline one still looked pretty, but that's just not what I wanted. But as you can see, this is sped up 2 times, by the way, so I'm going pretty slowly. I'm usually pretty impatient, but I learned the hard way that you probably need to be a little bit more patient, but just going through. And you can tell how not sticky my mat is because I'm weeding this on the mat, but not stuck to the mat. But yeah, there it is. And then all you have to do is move your mat. This is called transfer tape. The glitter vinyl that's rough glitter, like I'm using here, is such a pain to work with. It is so hard to lift up. I actually managed to do it really easily in this video somehow, but it can take me like 10 minutes to get it to actually stick. It is so obnoxious, and only certain transfer tape will actually work on glitter vinyl. I learned that the hard way too. I wasted a lot. But as you can see, this picked it up beautifully. Also, you can reuse these transfer tape sheets. That's a fun little tidbit that I was not aware of originally. You can happily reuse these if you're selling the stickers, you do have to let the person have the vinyl with it, the sticker with the transfer tape with it, obviously. All right, here I am. This is a craft plastic sheet I got at Hobby Lobby. I have just ordered a bulk set of these from Amazon, and I'm just praying they're the right thickness. The thickness I used in this video was 0.03 millimeters, which is way too thick, and 0.15 is slightly thinner than my liking, so I ordered some 0.02, or 0.015, not 0.15. So hopefully that's good enough. So you line them up. You have to be really careful because if you make them overlap or something, it's really hard to pull them back up without destroying them, especially ones with intricate designs. And then I'm applying this backing. You can do it either way. Now I apply that backing to the sticker before I stick it down so that it's underneath the pink as opposed to being behind it like that. I prefer it that way. I think it looks a lot cleaner too, and I like just having the texture on one side of the wing, but it's totally your choice. This is obviously much easier what I'm doing here, but this was the first time I did a layered design like this. This was one of my first pairs of wings that I made, so I did it this way. But it is really surprisingly difficult to line these up. I find it a lot easier to line them up if you do it directly on the transfer tape. So the layer that you want on the outside, you stick to the transfer tape first, and then you go from there. If you're doing multiple layers of glitter, it is so obnoxious to do it with the transfer tape, but it's really, really worth it. I've done like 4 different layers of color doing that, and they turn out much more beautifully and don't have a bunch of like void space. Like a lot of the early layered ones I was trying had a lot of void space showing, and I just could not get it not to show. So doing it underneath really does help. Yeah, so this one I had a big struggle with, so I'm just doing it over and over, as you can see. Sorry about that. But also I wanted to point out that the glitter vinyl on the back is unfortunately silver, because that's just the color of the adhesive. It still looks pretty from the back, but you don't get a double-sided wing design, unfortunately. And there are the Stella Believix wings before I cut them out, and I don't cut them out on camera because that plastic is thick. Alrighty, and with that, here is the finished doll. I think that she turned out really, really good. I was overly impressed by how beautiful these turned out, and they photograph so wonderfully. And with that, thank you guys so much for watching. And if you're interested in getting wings of your own, or you don't have a Cricut machine, for example, I do have the information about that in the comments below. Bye, guys!